going on, you guys? Hello and welcome back to the channel. My name is Sulkar, and we have a V8 M3 right here. And guess what we did? We did an exhaust. So let's start with an exhaust clip and let's get in the video. Alright, you guys, we are back at the office. This thing sounded good. All we did to it really was took the Meister shaft off the coupe that we had, the X pipe, and then made that all fit and work, cut some stuff up. It's all bolt-on now, but we cut the old X pipe out. I didn't want to bore you guys with that content because we already did it in the previous video, but it sounds good. I'm learning the E90X exhaust game a bit, so that sounds sick. And then also we did the spacers. I did a 15 millimeter in the rear and then a 10 millimeter in the front. As you can see, it sits pretty flush. I would love to do a drop, but we'll see how long we keep this thing for and if it's worth it. It does ride really comfy with that stock suspension, which is nice, but nice and flush there. And then this morning, which I'll lay over top, we did the front spacer because this was just out of whack, and that looks pretty nice here too. Probably could have went with a 12 millimeter, but I think the 10 looks fine and brings it all together. Now I would do a competition package wheel on this, but I don't like buying wheels new, especially those ones. They're ridiculously expensive, and I couldn't find literally any of them for sale, so I figured we'll salvage these. I actually, in the middle of all this, bought another set of wheels, but I didn't like how they looked, so those are already gone. So we're keeping a lot of things updated. Anyways, we got the G80 right here. Deciding what place this car has in the fleet right now. I do still love it, but figuring out, getting tempted with all these resale prices online, whether or not I want to, be clean out of this car or if I want to take a bath on it when I think the car market comes crashing down. Who knows if that's going to happen, right? When I sold my 2018 F80 M3, which there's a video on the channel, I sold it for $53,000 with 30,000 miles in 2021, I think. That car is probably worth, I don't know, $10,000 more than I sold it for. So I'm not always correct with my predictions, but I like to hedge my bets properly because a lot of these older cars, which you got the E93 right there and then the E46 behind me, they hold a value or they go up, or there's a relative market, but I don't know on these things yet. And then right here we've got obviously the Oxford Green on Cinnamon, beautiful convertible. This is probably going to be heading out soon, but we got it all cleaned up. As you guys can see, it's got super fresh wheels on it. These 19s are like brand new. The paint's in really good condition. This car is just really, really nice. Overall, look inside, you'll see the beautiful cinnamon leather, detailed properly by Oliver himself, the man. And yeah, so aside from that, just the overall update, we've got a 2013 Audi A6 in here. That's the daily driver, not that exciting, but actually a really good car for the money. And what else do we have? We have the SMG car still, which the convertible top broke on. Shout out to Apex. I will leave a link in the bio to them. BMW latch on eBay. I'll show you guys all the stuff. Never have fixed a convertible top on one of these cars before, but they hooked it up with an awesome deal on rebuilt parts, and we had that fixed over at the BMW dealership. So that's gonna be ready to sell as well. But looking for kind of a revamp, looking for some new, fresh inventory, looking to maybe change up brands here soon. Who knows?
Say what?
But with that being said, let's keep going. So taking the E46 out for a quick post-wash drive. I mean, I always love these cars. The channel's had a bunch of these cars, so I don't really drive them when I own them. I just like them. But when I do drive them, they all drive the same, and they're all pretty awesome. I still stand behind my video I made in 2020 is the best car for 20 grand. They're a little bit more now than they were back then, so it would have been a good investment. You guys should have listened, but no, I'm kidding. Anyways, the convertible's still a great buy. I've always loved them. Back in the days, you could get a nice one for 15 grand. Really not the case anymore. But even if you pay up a little bit for them, the market in general is just up. So I don't think you can go too incredibly wrong. This car is really nice because of the color combination, obviously, but as long as you get something with a decent combo and a manual transmission, you'll be okay. Speaking of manual transmissions, in this car, it's really necessary. SMG is not really great. I don't hate it, but it's not amazing. And then the E93, I only had those two manual ones, the coupe and the other coupe, the black one and the white one, that have obviously been on the channel before. And now having DCT really reminds me, I went from the best spec, a coupe with a manual, to the worst spec, a convertible with a DCT. And I'm definitely feeling that pain. I thought that the E93 would be a good replacement of the M4. I don't hate the car, but it's not like the coupe, the E92 coupe, and it's also not like the M4 because it's like kind of dated. For the money, I think it's a good car. I think it's one of the best. I don't know how great it would be in a manual because it's kind of heavy and convertible-y, but don't love the DCT the same way I love the DCT in the M4. I don't think the car is fast enough for it, but the downshifts are kind of cool, and if you have it cranked up all the way to the most aggressive setting, it's not bad. We'll get into that car later in this video and take it for a full drive. I know you guys saw the kind of flybys and stuff like that. It's funny we're talking about that car and this one, but rightfully so. This is the E46. This is the 2002. It was made from 2001, 2006, and then that's a 2013, which is the last year of that model. And then the M4 that I had on the channel previously was obviously the 2015 and the whatever. But anyways, you get how it is. This car versus that car. The E92 is a little bit more, or E93 rather, is a little bit more refined in the sense that it's got a hard top. It's a little bit more rigid feeling. The interior is a little bit more kind of bolstered, with the seats are a little bit more bolstered. It's a little bit nicer and newer looking, but I think the E46 is still timeless. You can't really go wrong. Obviously, it shows its age now. The E93 still have Bluetooth audio and all that stuff, and this is not so much, but I don't think you can really go wrong with either car. It just depends on what you get a deal on. I think these are a little bit less maintenance intensive, just in general. There's no throttle body actuators to worry about, and their rod bearings are seemingly not as prevalent as they are in the V8, and they're not as expensive to do as they are in that car either. So just something to think about. I like both cars. That's my first E93, M3 convertible, and it's growing on me with the exhaust especially, but I can't say I love it that much more than the E46, or even comes close to the F83 M4. Maybe over time it will. And I don't know, maybe it's because I'm just looking for that fast kind of like visceralness, but the sound makes up for a lot of it, and as you guys saw, it does sound really good. So not a complete hater on it yet, but just feeling you guys in with my actual insights on the car. So as you guys can see, these cars look pretty similar. I mean, after all, they are the same car. One's just older than the other. The fascia looks a little bit more updated and refined. The wheels are almost identical. I mean, in a way, they look super similar. These ones just have a little bit more of an edge to them in a way. Have that kind of, both have that finished look on them. 19s, and yeah, I mean, you see similar attributes. Right here you've got a grill, right here you got a grill, here you got a hard top, here you got a soft top. And from the back, you can see they have similarities. This is obviously pre-LCI and this is post-LCI. But you both got quad exhaust tips, M3 badges in the same areas. As you can see, this M3 badge is a little smaller than this one, and this one's even smaller than the E36, and so I guess they're just getting smaller over time. But yeah, these cars are both cool in their own way, but I thought it'd be kind of cool to show them next to each other. But yeah, so convertibles are fun. They're not as desirable as coupes, but we get what we could take. Whatever we find a deal on is what I am interested in. Looking inside of these cars, you can see this one does have the extended leather option right here, which is pretty cool. That's stuff that didn't come up until this generation. Seats look decently similar to the E46. Newer steering wheel, and obviously the whole interior is different, but a lot of the similar components. However, this still looks pretty good with the test of time, and this is starting to look a little bit dated, but overall nice condition and pretty similar overall. Pretty cool. The CEO of Platinum Promotion. What's up, bro? A couple customers. Alright, that's it. If you have it.
You can drive it, just gotta plate it.
Alright, you guys, as you can see, it is the next day, and we are over at Elmhurst BMW, and we just picked up the keys to Josh's latest collection edition. Can you guys guess what it is? E60 M5. And something special about this car you guys will see in a second. Let me know in the comments, by the way, if you got that guess correct. But I'm super excited to see this car. I've never driven one in this configuration, and Josh really did a good job finding this car. It seems super clean, and I'm excited to drive it. They're busy right now, as they always are, but it's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be different, and it's gonna look good right next to this black E93. Alright, you guys, as you can see, these are very similar in color. This is jet black, and this is dark sapphire, black sapphire metallic. Same color as some cars I've had in the past. Really like it. Looks super clean. And without further ado, let's take it for a quick test drive and see how that special feature in this car drives. Alright, you guys, this is the secret, special, amazing thing about this car. It is a 6-speed manual V10 M5, which is literally insanely cool. They only did this in the M5 and the M6. All right, you guys, let's take this thing for a little test drive. This is my first time ever driving a V10 manual anything, so that's super exciting. And then on top of that, the E60 M5 is an absolute legendary car, kind of from the same era as the E90 M3. So this is a 2007, I believe, and that car that originally came out in 2008. So it's kind of when they went away from the inline sixes. I guess the M5 always had the V8, and this one has the V10. So from the M3, it went from 6 to 8, and then the M5 went from 8 to 10, which is kind of cool. And the fact that they put a manual in it is incredibly, incredibly special, because I can't even think of many cars that would have a similar configuration outside of potentially a Lamborghini Gallardo from the late 2010 eras, kind of the LP 560 and the pre-LP cars. But so far so good. This car is incredibly smooth to drive, and it's so nice because this car is super comfortable and luxurious on the inside. As you guys can see, it's got extended leather all the way around and this beautiful aluminum trim, which I absolutely love. Black on aluminum plus a 6-speed is like, you can't go wrong. This is the most like gentleman's combo out there, and it's honestly super easy to drive. The clutch feels way more like an E90 series car, the M cars, and not like an E46 at all. E46 is way more notchy, which is kind of a gripe I think a lot of people have with those cars. It's cool, but it's not as daily drivable, I would say. But this feels fantastic. The brakes feel good. The steering feels super tight. I'm going to turn on the electronic dampening just to see if that changes anything. That is essentially just stiffening up the suspension. And I'll put it in M mode, which from my understanding, my friend Landon, if you're watching this in high school, his dad had a M6 of this generation. I believe it's called an E63. That's the chassis type for the convertible M6. And we discovered that this M mode engages 2 more cylinders. Don't know if that was completely bonkers or not, but from my understanding it does. And that is super, super cool because it essentially unlocks all the power. I want to say this car has 500 horsepower on the dot. I could be wrong. I don't do a bunch of research here. I'm just going off of what I think I remember. But super sweet. I can only imagine the gas mileage on this thing, but honestly, who cares when you're in a V10? Downshifts are super smooth. The car is super easy to drive, and it's really, it's almost frightening because it makes me want to buy one. Yeah, honestly, this clutch is so nice. It's so easy going. It's so just forgiving feeling. Super easy to get out of first gear, and rolling through the gears just feels right because you have really nice, comfortable 5 Series seats, and you have all the amenities. And you got to remember, even though this car is, 15 years old at this point, it still has a lot of those expensive features with a sticker around $110,000, $120,000. You get, like I mentioned, all the extended leather, just really plushness all around. You have like heated seats, you've got ventilated seats too, and parking sensors, and this car is almost new enough to the extent where you're not going to sacrifice that much. Like, you might sacrifice a great navigation system, which is kind of obvious, but other than that, you've got a fantastic sound system, because back then they still packed them with a bunch, and you got obviously the monster motor, amazing 6-speed trans that's super easy to drive. I don't see why somebody wouldn't want to daily drive one of these cars. I mean, aside from gas prices being over $5 a gallon, I mean, you really can't go wrong. I know that these motors, as well as the E90 series, did have issues with rod bearings and stuff like that, but it's really not all that crazy of a repair when you factor in how much these cars actually cost new. And with the amount of European shops in the Chicagoland area, or mostly in any area, because there's such a prevalent car that has issues that people build shops around, you can really get a good price for labor, and these cars have been manufactured for quite a while now, so you could find the parts. And I don't think ownership scaries should be that bad. Just change oil on time, manage the things that go wrong, and you can get in one of these cars for, I would say, mid-20s to mid-30s for a nice one, especially with the 6-speed. And you can't go out. You even have an Alcantara headliner, which is super cool, and all the A-pillars and stuff like that. I don't know. I love this thing. I mean, we haven't even got on it, and I love this thing. it feels right. It's like, I like it so much, and it's compared to the E90 manual and the F80 manual, which I would say are probably the most two comparable cars aside from the F10 M5, which if you guys have watched the channel, my brother has. It just feels good. It gives you, it's not too boaty. I just noticed it reminds me of the Mercedes, like of the era. It's got the bolsters that inflate when you go around a turn. It's cool because, you know, with having a luxury car back then, they still had some of this technology that hopefully it works after being, you know, older, but when it does work, it's still really cool. And it's stuff that you won't even see in a modern day like 3 Series. Gotta love those downshifts. That motor sounds fantastic. All right, you guys, so here we have the beautiful E60 M5. I absolutely love this car. I've never actually bought one before. I think a lot of the reason is because I got too trapped in the whole M3, you know, bug and ecosystem, but I've always loved them growing up in that kind of era where these were cool and brand new. I've always thought it was an awesome, awesome car, but I've kind of been scared of that SMG system in general and just the pump going out, because I know that's what causes a lot of the issues outside of like the rod bearing failure in these cars. And overall, it is an expensive car and it was new, so maintenance is high. But now, having driven that one, I definitely am going to bug Josh to try and get him to sell it to me. And if that doesn't happen, I'm going to keep my eyes out for one. But if he does end up selling this car for whatever reason, I will put the link in the description below, because I really appreciate him letting me take it out. And it's really opened my eyes to something that I love. But as always, guys, I really appreciate all of the support you guys have been bringing to the channel, and special shout out to my boy James for letting me know that I got to start posting again. Honestly, had a little bit of writer's block there for a second, because I was wondering where we take the channel from the G80, with that being the brand new car obviously out there. I know a lot of people like it, and myself included, but at the same time, the root of this channel is good financial investments, rebuild projects, and stuff like that. And I think more projects and more other brands potentially on the channel will be fun. So cars like this really excite me, because it's bringing something that I've never even experimented with before. And I'm definitely going to be planning on bringing more stuff like this to the channel. And I actually picked up another car. I didn't pick it up. I just paid for it this morning, and it should be here by the end of the week. So expect another video in the next coming future, and expect a lot more videos coming out from there. I want to share all of these awesome projects with you guys, and I really, 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 really appreciate all the support as always. So with that being said, guys, like this video if you liked it, dislike it if you did not. Subscribing would mean the absolute world to me. You can follow me on Instagram at Kyle Sulkar for all the personal stuff, and at Sulkar Media for all the behind the scenes business content and whatnot. So once again, guys, thank you so very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.
Thank you.